Aloha, I'm Captain Rod Green of the Kauai Police Department, here with three members of the KPD Youth Media Program I'm excited to have with me right now. So to my left is
Kealohi.
Can you tell the audience what grade you're in and what school you go to?
I'm a 10th grader, a sophomore at Hawaii Technology Academy.
Oh, wow, okay. And to my right, immediate right is Talia.
Yes.
Could you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, what school you go to and what grade you're in?
I'm in 6th grade and I go to Kapaa Middle School.
Oh wow, some nice ways for you. And last but not least, Connor, could you tell the audience what grade you're in and how old you are?
Yes, so I am 16 years old. I also go to Hawaii Technology Academy with Kealohi. We are both in 10th grade.
Outstanding. So I'd like to ask each of you individually what you liked so far about the class. And I'll start with you, Kealohi. What have you liked the First of all, I'm assuming that you like the class because you've been coming back. Yeah. But what did you like about the class?
I think the opportunity to be able to learn and have fun at the same time with like amazing, brilliant people has been such a cool opportunity. I always liked film and I always liked editing, and to be able to properly learn that and have fun with it has been so great.
That's awesome. I like that. Talia, what about you? What have you learned? What has really stuck out to you the most that you've learned so far being part of the class?
I learned how to do green screens and edit and set up cameras.
Oh, wow. And the green screen part, what did you like about that?
Like how you can rotate them, put them upside down, and put them in any background.
That's right, because we had you in the clouds upside down. That was pretty funny. And Connor, you've been through Hawaii, the media program before. So how has this experience been different for you, having already gone through it?
This is a little bit different for me. Well, since I'm already certified, this was just a nice refresher course to get into it because it's been quite a while to do it. And it was super fun to do projects with the community, with you guys, making the 9/11 video, like videos that help contribute for PSAs. And I especially loved how I did not know as much about lighting before. It's a lot more complex and detailed, but overall I just really like the program, how it's so interesting and open and exciting. There's so many things you can learn from it.
I agree. Kealohi, you mentioned earlier about the brilliant people that you work with, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention Roger Olson, who's the primary producer here at Hawaii Kauai Community Television. He's done an outstanding job, and thank you. He's behind the camera right now as we speak, so thank you, Roger, for doing a great job and helping put this program together, and really appreciate it. So while we're here, is there anything that you guys have ever wanted to know about law enforcement, or any questions you had about my job or anything in particular?
Yes, I was wondering what sparked your interest in going into law enforcement? Like why did you go into it?
That's a great question. I initially started my career in Los Angeles back in '92. Born and raised on the south side of Chicago, and some of the experiences that I had in Chicago actually led me to want to help others. So I've always felt that being in law enforcement puts me in a position to kind of help people that are defenseless sometimes. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. So that was the impetus for me wanting to join law enforcement, was to help people at the end of the day.
Oh, that's a great story. I've been in Chicago for a couple summers in different places, and it's great.
Yeah. You have any questions, Kealohi, for me?
Well, besides Hoike and coming here, what is it like in the day-to-day life of Captain Green?
Well, let's see. I've been with the department for 18 years now, so my days have changed from when I first started on patrol to what they are now. But in answer to your question, there's a lot of administrative work that I do. A lot of, I would say paperwork, but it's actually on a computer now. So part of my responsibilities is overseeing all of patrol on the island, as well as traffic, our dispatch, our cell block. So there's a lot of responsibilities that I have within the department, but in answer to your question, and make a long story short, a lot of answering the phones and answering emails and handling internal issues. Kind of boring. Every now and then I get to go out and drive, and because my eyes start to get crossed and it's just too much computer, so I need to get out and see the public. Yesterday I got to actually go to the military base on the west side, PMRF, and kind of oversee a joint exercise that our police officers did with Navy personnel. So that was exciting.
That's cool.
Yeah. Any other questions? You have a question at all?
Kind of the same as Kealohi's, but like, what do officers usually do in their job?
Well, the average patrol officer, what they would do is respond to calls and also be proactive, meaning they would drive around a patrol so people can see them. So if someone were thinking about committing a crime, they wouldn't do it. They would be deterred because they would see the police officers. But they do a lot of things, a lot of mediation, believe it or not. They respond to calls where maybe there's a dispute between neighbors or a business and a customer. Sometimes there's domestic issues that they need to respond to. Sometimes they take reports that involve theft of certain items. Sometimes they just get out and talk to the public. I have a lieutenant just this past Tuesday. He was actually across the street at Kalina Park, and I happened to see him talking to a few of the citizens over there, and it was real good. We call it community-oriented policing. So it was very positive to see that. Sometimes we have officers that go to different schools and help with fire drills. They monitor traffic. Obviously, they write tickets sometimes and take people to jail. But there is a myriad of things that law enforcement officers do on a day-to-day basis. Very exciting. No day is identical to the previous day, usually. And what I liked about being on patrol way back when I was on patrol, was the fact that it can go from, we call it 0 to 60 that fast. So you could just be in your car writing a report, talk a story with one of your beat partners, and all of a sudden an emergency can happen, and you just have to go into that mode and handle whatever it is. So that aspect of it I've always loved, the adrenaline rush of handling those types of calls.
That does sound like jumping right into it. That sounds really interesting.
You're
Yeah.
saying
So
it's
we are
not-
recruiting. We're always looking for more people. Go ahead.
You're saying it's not always like the crime shows where you're always chasing after criminals?
That's
It's
why
not
it's
like
television.
that?
No, not at all. You know, it's funny you say that. A few years ago, we actually had a television crew came out. They were from National Geographic, and they actually filmed our department, and they wanted to do a show based on Kauai Police Department and how it is, sort of like Alaska State Troopers type, but they wanted to show Kauai. So their film crew would come, and it seemed like every time they came, nothing major would happen. They would leave for a week, and everything would happen. We get a bank things that wouldn't normally happen on Kauai. We get a bank robbery. We get, crazy things happening. And then they come back the following week, and then it just be calm. So it's so unpredictable. You can't just script it. But no, it doesn't happen like that on television, and that's why it's television. But that's a great question.
Another one I have for you that might be more of an obscure question, but when you started out, you were just a patrol officer. How did you move up in your leadership to get to where you are today?
Another great question. So I feel like the leadership aspect of it has been developed even prior to me joining law enforcement. So I used to be in the Marine Corps, and I used to we had what was called the Leadership Institute. So I would take classes, and just by the different experiences that I've had in law enforcement and the people that I learned from that preceded me helped guide me into learning different leadership styles and traits. And you always have people that you don't necessarily agree with the way they do things, and you kind of take the positive and kind of get rid of the negative, which you don't want to do. And I just try to use what works for me. I've also been fortunate enough to get a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, so that's helped me. And I've also gone to the FBI National Academy in Quantico, Virginia, when they say about only 5% of all law enforcement in the entire world get to go to this training. And basically it's for law enforcement executives. So generally from lieutenants and above can get to go to this, but there are people from all around the world, different police departments that get to attend this. So that, I think all of that contributed to me being able to, and just doing a lot of reading and test taking and just trying to absorb what I learned. And like I said, even from a lot of coworkers, because there's people that I've worked with that I learned a lot from and helped me get to where I am now.
Right.
So.
Sounds like an amazing journey of all the things and progress you've made.
Definitely, yeah. It's a great occupation. I love it personally, but it's not for everyone. But like I said, you gotta, if you're into adrenaline, into helping people, and you know, there's a lot of things that have changed over the years. We get a lot of backlash, and when I say we, I don't necessarily mean the Kauai Police Department, but law enforcement in general. I would say, because of a lot of controversial incidents that have happened, particularly people being shot and found that they weren't armed, situations like that, police brutality, and sometimes incidents have occurred where force was justified according to police policy, but the public doesn't understand that, so that creates a wedge also, where they're, well, look what you guys are doing, and you know, so it happens. It's not. They call it a thankless job, you know, law enforcement. So there's a certain level of tenacity that you have to have and endurance to be able to do this job, but it's very rewarding at the end of the day. So.
That's awesome. One last question I got for you is, if I were interested in getting into law enforcement, how would I go about doing that?
What I would suggest is study any type of criminal justice classes that you can. Also, when you become of age, I would, there's actually books that you can study. There's one by Barron's, and I'm not soliciting any particular brand, but just answering your question. But there are different books out there. I know Barron's has one, APCO has one. I can't think of the other ones. But basically, they have practice tests and different information that kind of teach you what you need to know, you know, as far as how to pass a police entry test exam.
Right.
In addition to that, though, I would also say you have to be in good physical condition and definitely stay out of trouble, which means no drugs of any kind. It's good to have good credit and just have good references. And at this point, just get good grades and just do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And any type of community service I would always recommend, because law enforcement is actually a community service type of job. We deal so much with the community. And if you're not comfortable in talking with community members, then it's going to be kind of difficult for you. Public speaking, I think, is important also. You have to be able to stand in front of an audience or a crowd and be able to talk to them. You may have a big group of people that are boisterous, and you have to have that command presence to let them know, hey, I need you guys to quiet down, or whatever it is. So, but those are the initial steps that I would say if you wanted to go into law enforcement.
Awesome.
And then once you get there, there are so many paths that you can go. You know, if you wanted to eventually become a detective, if you wanted to go into forensics, if you wanted to go into traffic enforcement, community relations, bike patrols, and that's just Kauai, depending on the jurisdiction. So where I used to work in Los Angeles, they even had a boat patrol, which a lot of deputies used to like to get to my station so they could work that particular job. So you know, nothing really compares to that type of profession, law enforcement. But like I said, yeah, I definitely recommend it. Anybody else have any other questions? This is your opportunity. What do you think the audience might want to know? You're speaking on their behalf right now.
You tell me, audience.
You tell me, audience.
They're going to respond back to you.
Right?
They will.
They will?
They'll do it.
Okay. Talia, do you have anything else?
No.
Okay. Well, I wanted to thank the three of you and the rest of our Kauai Media Youth members that came also. Definitely the Kauai Police Department and Hawike Kauai Community Television for giving us the facilities and also providing the guidance and all the teaching for us to do this and make this possible. Is this something that you would want to do again or you would recommend to your friends?
Definitely.
For sure. Definitely
Okay.
would do it again.
Well, you guys heard it here first. Definitely. Kauai Media Youth Program. Take care, aloha.